Change of command ceremony. Today you will witness Lt Col Marcus Wilson relinquish command to Lt Col Kari Mott. Throughout the ceremony, you will be given cues to stand and be seated at the appropriate times. Please silence all cell phones for the remainder of the ceremony. At this time, I would like to take the opportunity to welcome the distinguished guest in attendance today. Lt Col Wilson's wife, Dr. Jamail Wilson, U.S. Army veteran, and their daughter, Layla. Lt Col Mott's husband, Lt Col Nathan Mott, and their children, Courtney, Charlotte, Michael, and son-in-law, Captain Nathan Lunsford. Her parents, Tom and Mary Carr, and her in-laws, Mike and Julie Mott. We also like to welcome the Commander, 505th Command and Control Wing, Dickens, and his wife, Krista. The Command Chief, 505th Command and Control Wing, Chief Cornelius Thompson. The Executive Director, 505th Command and Control Wing, Mr. Jim Askins. The Commander, 505th Combat Training Group, Colonel Shane Yorton. The Superintendent, 505th Combat Training Group, Senior Master Sergeant Cesar Ramos. And thank you to all other commanders, superintendents, co-workers, family, and friends in attendance today. The change of command ceremony is a time-honored military tradition dating back to the 18th century during the reign of Frederick the Great of Prussia. At this time, organizational flags were developed with color arrangements and symbols unique to each particular unit. These colors are the accepted symbol of command in our modern military, and the individual in control of these colors and the recognized commander. The guidon you see before you has the colors and symbols of the 505th Training Squadron. When a change of command was to take place, the flag was passed to the individual assuming command. This gesture was accomplished in front of the unit so all could see and witness their new leader assuming this dutiful position. This symbolic tradition has survived throughout military history. Today we observe a change of command in which the reins of responsibility and leadership pass from Lt Col Wilson to Lt Col Mott. During our ceremony this afternoon, Lt Col Wilson will pass the guidon representing his command of the 505th Training Squadron to the commander of the 505th Training Group, Colonel Galli, symbolizing his relinquishing command. Colonel Galli will maintain control of the guidon representing his watchful eye over the 505th Training Squadron during this time of transition before passing the guidon to the incoming commander, Lt Col Mott, and granting her authority of command. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the official party, the presentation of colors by the Hurlburt Field Honor Guard, the singing of our national anthem by Lt Col Barbara Ziska and Lt Col Leisha Wallace, and the invocation by Chaplain Ivy.
Set the colors. Go. Head. Put. Heart. Where? Heart. Mark. Start. Go. Go. Present. Heart.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
Color Sergeant. Hurt.
If you would, let us bow together. Almighty God, just as the spring has turned into summer, our lives are always changing, and during this season of transition, Lord, we stand here before you and one another, ready for the unknown that lies before us. May it be a time of renewal for us all. Today we lift our prayers for the 505 TRS, asking for grace in our comings and our goings. May we all be humbled by the responsibilities that are in front of us. May we all be grateful for the work that brought us to this place. May we all seek guidance within our hearts to know what is right and what is wrong, that each of us may better serve our nation and our brothers and sisters in arms. We pray all these things together, saying amen and amen.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Ziska and Lieutenant Colonel Wallace and Chaplain Ivy. Please be seated. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our presiding officer, the Commander, 505th Test and Training Group, Colonel Francisco Galli.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome. First of all, as I always do, I want to thank the wonderful team that put this together. So Sergeant Boyer, Kennedy, Craig, Gilman, Boyle, and Salinas, Linda, Deb, Keith, and Chaplain Ivy, and Lieutenant Colonel Ziska and Walls for that wonderful rendition of the national anthem. Thank you. So distinguished guests, Colonel Dickens and Mrs. Dickens, Chief Thompson, Mr. Jim Askins, and Colonel Yorton, and Sergeant Ramos, who I saw walking in, didn't realize you're going to be here. Welcome. And all commanders, senior enlisted leaders, and most importantly, the men and women of the 505th TRS. Now, I said most importantly, the men and women of the TRS, but in reality, because today is such a special occasion for these two individuals, the real most important welcome in my mind is to the families that came out here to see these two individuals. So welcome to Jamel and Layla Wilson. Good to see y'all again. And from the virtual world today, some other members from Spike's family. Father USAF retired T.J. Wilson and Dr. Lucretia Wilson. They're out in Summerville, South Carolina. Jamel's mother, Jeanette Ards, and Spike's family up in Bessemer, Sister Tanisha Janelle Wilson, and Sister Tara Craig and her husband, Kyle Craig. So welcome from the virtual world. And the Mott family, welcome. We've got Nate, Cougar's husband, who's an IP out at Naval Air Station Pensacola. Daughter Courtney and son-in-law, Captain Nathan, F-15 EWIZO, coming out from Seymour Johnson. Son and daughter, twins, I didn't know that. Michael and Charlotte, welcome, you two. Cougar's parents, Tom, retired Army Sergeant First Class, and Mary Carr, and Nate's parents, Mike and Julie Mott, coming all the way down from Pensacola, and I know y'all are looking forward to driving the grandchildren back up there and spending time with y'all. So welcome again to the families. All right. All right, so today, the world-famous AOC FTU is saying goodbye to Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Spike Wilson and welcoming a new commander in Lt Col Kari Mott. So as I thought about what I was going to say today, I hearkened back to 2 years ago. And for those of you that were here, I don't know if you remember my speech, but I talked about the three things that the three commanders had in common that were up here. Okay? And so the first one that we had in common was that we had all been assigned together in the past. Check. Cougar, Spike, and I have all been assigned together in the past. We were at the 607th AOC in Korea. So the second thing I talked about that we had in common was that the three of us will, by the end of the day today, will have commanded the same squadron. check. Unless something catastrophic happens in the next 20 minutes, we'll meet that requirement. And the third thing that we had in common was that I said that it looked like the three of us standing up here went to the same barber. Well, that's definitely not the case today. So I said, well, I know what the third thing that we have in common here today is that the three of us, and definitely Spike and Cougar have a huge passion for operational C2 and the men and women in their squadron. So it wasn't that hard to switch from finding the commonality in a barber to the commonality of something that we have passion about. So good on both of you for what you've done the last 2 years in your respective positions. So the 505th TRS has done a lot in the last 2 years under Spike's leadership. You've continued to do what we consider to be the AOC FTU's basic mission, which is provide that basic qualification training to provide operational C2 to warfighters across the world. But the squadron's also found new ways to continue contributing outside that main line of effort to the C2 world. So under Spike, we'll hear a whole bunch of things here in a few minutes in his MSM, but I'm going to highlight a couple other things if you'd humor me for a few more minutes. So while the normal FTU training, you think it's routine, it's not. They've continued to refine and improve and get after a lot of things, especially MDC2 and JADC2. They've added critical space and cyber training to the curriculum to get at what the chief wants us to get at. They've included specific cyber training for AOC so that those specialties, when they come to an AOC, they understand the processes and how that works. So they know how to operate within an air operations center and support the air component commander. They've started to lay the groundwork for the new Space Force on that, for the training here. They played a critical role in 13 Oscar training. I know a lot of folks, see that the 705th is the lead squadron, but what you don't know is the 505th played a tremendous role helping build that course and train and execute students. So we really appreciate that. And that was a chief of staff priority and a direct go-do in a memo that he sent out in July of 18. So pretty big accomplishments. And you've led your squadron through COVID, risk mitigation, ensuring that our folks are safe, yet able to execute the mission and provide that critical C2 training to the warfighter. And finally, Spike, I think most importantly, your squadron's had a leader that's led from the front. You've done extremely well. You've gotten the mission done, and you've taken care of your folks. Again, these are but a small list of things, and we'll hear the formal medal in a moment, but a job well done. So you've had you and your team have been really busy. For those of you who don't know, 42 out of 52 days of the calendar are full teaching. So that leaves about 10 weeks of white space, and when you think about those 10 weeks include holiday breaks such as Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, Memorial Day, and those things, there's not a lot of time to turn curriculum and downtime. And the team has continued to perform marvelously. So you've done well. You've got your team its resources to get the job done right. You've set high standards, and we'll be sorry to see you go. But you're really not leaving. You're kind of just moving on up just a little bit, and you're going to be the group deputy, and I know that you'll help Digger get settled in and continue to help this group and this wing with its lines of effort related to command and control. And I know you'll continue to do great things. But even though you're leaving, we're getting a really fantastic leader in Cougar Mott. I've seen the way you interact with folks at the 607th AOC, and your time as DO in the 705th have really prepared you for command. You will do well. You have the values that I look for when choosing a squadron commander. You listen, you respect and value your team, you give them good guidance, and you lead from the front. And we talked about that before we came in, about the importance of doing that, just being yourself and do the right thing, lead by example. And I know you'll do well in command. At the same time, while you've heard all the great things that this squadron has done, don't be afraid to make change if necessary. You'll bring new ideas and perspectives, and you'll leave your fingerprints on this command. All right? Take charge and get out there out front and lead. I know you'll do really well. So I'll wrap up by saying, as always, that I truly believe that the strengths of our organization and our nation comes from our people. And I have no doubt that I'm going to hear great things from both Spike and Cougar in the future, and from the men and women of the 505th TRS as you continue to provide world-class C2 training to our warfighters. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Galli. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the Meritorious Service Medal to Lieutenant Colonel Wilson.
What was the order?
Attention to orders. Lieutenant Colonel Marcus D. Wilson distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as the Commander, 505th Training Squadron, 505th Test and Training Group, 505th Command and Control Wing, Hurlburt Field, Florida. During this period, he led a $4.5 million weapon system comprised of a 153-member joint, allied, and total force integration team that trained 6,600 students for 12 air operations centers. Colonel Wilson successfully navigated through the coronavirus and record-breaking hurricane season by establishing protocols that safeguarded a $5.7 million training portfolio, personnel, students, and their families, methods adopted by the wing. He also led the first Space Force Air Operations Center initial qualification training course, executed a $19 million program for 17 courses, and expanded top-secret sensitive compartmented information capabilities, resulting in a 186% billet increase. Colonel Wilson's foresight led to a $128,000 secure internet protocol router network capability that modernized 7 laboratories for the emerging Block 20 weapon system, and overhauled the modernized integrated database with 671,000 upgrades, the first time in 25 years, making training relevant for students. Finally, his expertise guided development of new squadron-wide standards that rated the squadron as highly effective and his team as a strength by the Wing's Inspector General, a first for the squadron in recent wing history. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Wilson reflect great credit upon himself in the United States Air Force. Thank you, Colonel Galli. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. And now, the Commander, 505th Training Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Wilson.
I don't know who you were just talking about in that award, but I'll take it. Yeah. As the boss said, so I do want to thank the AOs who took the stick on this and made sure it was a success. Again, Matt Boyer's out there somewhere recovering. I appreciate you taking point. Magic, thank you for a seamless transition. Amanda Craig's about to get on an aircraft, but we appreciate our reserve help. She actually is one of the members as a remote worker that comes in town, and she jumped right in to help, so really appreciate the team. Jamie, thanks for jumping in. Frank Gilman. Shanda Boyle, who's out on a course right now, but she made sure we planned, and then she went off to ISD. Crystal, you're always great at this. You're a natural, so you got to have a narrator, almost like the C2 of it, right? So I really appreciate it. To my parents, thank you. I know you're out there. To my sister, my sisters, and to my brother Kyle, I appreciate it. And to my friends of Tuskegee that said they'll be up on the net, and my fraternity brothers, I thank you for all of your support and your prayers. Friendship is essential to the soul. I appreciate that. Sir, it starts at the top. And I've bragged on you to my peers through some tough discussions we've had. But you had the courage to set a venue and an environment where we could discuss the effects and effects on the force shortly after civil unrest, coupled with a pandemic, sir. I thank you for not burying your head and having those hard discussions. We had some one-on-one. I'm sure we solved world hunger, all the world's problems. we have solved it, and the beauty of it, I end up getting tasked out of it. So I really appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the opportunity to excel, sir. But seriously, thank you for reiterating to us that we do want to get after recruiting, retaining, right? It's better if he was here, but he cares about making sure we have the best records, because our people, those records actually meet the boards. And so the world, you know, the life of a vice, right? Making sure that the best records meet the board. And so I really appreciate you, sir. I know you're out there cursing me. I'll meet you later. Chief, we had a good time on our chat. I still get feedback for it, and I thank you for the invite. More to follow. Huge, I thank you for giving context to the environment we're in. More to follow. Sir, I didn't know you were coming. It's always good to see Colonel Jordan. It's been a long time, sir. But I really appreciate one of my first weapons officers back at Bandsaw. As the boss was talking, it's always good to see you. My best to Marty. But I got to brag on Ms. Jones, sir, at the wing staff. If she's out there, all of you know that Ms. Lakeisha Jones has held it down for making sure that our hirings, our paperwork, to make sure that we onboard that talent. It's a competitive market here in the mighty Emerald Coast. Everyone wants to work here. Everyone's fighting for the same talent, and the paperwork flies first. It just does, right? So, Ms. Jones, I thank you, sir. We need 10 more of her. So I really appreciate it, and to my fellow squadron commanders, I'm sure you all appreciate her also. Colonel Goliath, Cisco, sir, I have to pause, take a deep breath, and push through this one. But, you know, we've talked that when we got the phone call, and we're there in lovely Washington, D.C., Jamel had just found out some great news. Layla was loving her school. I had just finished up a course there, and you called and said, looks like you're the man. It's a great opportunity to be a commander. It is an excellent opportunity to be able to lean into evolving command and control. But the decision was made when Jamel said, you know, well, who are we going to work for? And I said, Cisco. And she's like, oh, too easy. Let's go. And many of you know, and I see many of my peers, it is amazing when you know your boss and your boss knows you and he cares about you as Marcus, Jamel, and Layla, not just some dude that's going to get in there and check the box. And sir, we've had our chats to keep it short, but it's been an honor and a privilege to serve with you once again for the third or fourth time in better conditions. When we thought we were going to get after it against North Korea, I'll take this environment anytime, sir. But it has. Thank you for having confidence in our family and having confidence in her, allowing us to actually command. But thank you very much for the opportunity, sir, and I'll stop there before I have to pull out my handkerchief. Chief Migo, wherever you are, thank you for mentoring us, constantly ensuring that we are in standards and ensuring that we know that the backbone of our operations are enlisted and senior NCOs. Been an awesome mentor. Congratulations on your assignment to the 613th. I hope you actually get to see the beach of Hawaii, but thank you for your mentorship. And to the TRS, the 505th, America's AOC Formal Training Unit. Troll told us it is the gateway to the operational C2 community. Thank you. Our students show up here with thousands of hours swinging the axe. Hooking, jabbing, maneuvering, informing, sustaining, battle managing at the tactical level. But where do they start to build that operational C2 muscle? And the answer is right here. Or as we say in Alabama, right here. Right? Right? It's through those doors that they come in not knowing. And chaplain, like you said, through a lot of prayer and supplication, they leave out better. So this is the gateway. You just heard the words, and my name was on it, but you did the work. You honored the pandemic threat, but you discovered the opportunity, and we got after it, and we got better. And I'm thankful for everything you have done. Miss Molly, Dan, Frank, Gonzo, J6 Peterson out there, I know you in your internship. Justin Miller, Raj, Bingo, Kevin, Battle Salt Terrace, Mater, Corky, Laz, Lazenby, the four wise men of my flight directors. I know Greek is enjoying Tampa. I know he's out there though. Hoser, Merlin, Groot, Mr. Cook, to the best two superintendents any officer, any commander can have. Any great officer's got to have an enlisted member. Like my dad told me, you got to have a senior NCO, an NCO telling you what's really right. To Hammer Loring and Matt Boyer, we had the Avengers here in this team, and I thank you. It's been an honor. The good news is you're getting an upgrade in command, right? Better hair, we already figured that out. But look, I know the Motts, right? They will continue to accelerate change and get after it. Cougar and I have chatted. Carry on per mission directives, tasking order 20-3, Frag 01, unit SOPs, and unless otherwise directed by the commander and her representative as discussed. Cougar, as we talked, I double dog dare you to be unapologetically, whatever that word is, you. You are exactly the woman we need at this time and place to lead America's AOC FTU into a next environment, and we thank you. And I'm standing by to support. But I can't forget Troll Brian, who we've already promoted, and we've moved him on to command. Congratulations. We talk about swinging the axe, and many of you chuckle, but this man had to cut through a lot as a DO, and it's not easy working for me. The inertia, the culture, and sometimes it's easier just to say no, right? You want to do something new, you hear, heck no, no. Well, sir, let me think about it. That's not a bad idea. And then finally someone says, well, maybe we should have been doing it all anyway. Let's get after it. And we started working towards yes. You had to cut through all of that. And I watched you excel in it. And once I turned you loose, you got after it. So I told you I owed you another embarrassing moment. So I need you to come up here real quick. So he comes on, he's one of the first set of graduates, thank you, ma'am, of the, all right, one of the first graduates of the 13 Oscar course, and he doesn't want to take any leave, he just wants to jump right into DO, and I'm like, no, that's not a good idea. Take some time off, etc. He takes the stick, we kick off the tasking order, and the pandemic kicks off, and he's like, well, I won't say exactly what he says, we have children in the room, and he says, well, dang, sir. I feel like I'm on a continuous check ride. It just never will end. Will the jet continue to break? So it says, Lt Col Marcus Troll Bryan, Director of Operations 505 TRS, you are the exemplar. Integrate to dominate. Check ride complete. EQ. No, that's what it says. It says that. Congratulations on command, and remember, no paper tigers.
Roger that, boss. I appreciate it, Spike.
Told you I had one more for you. Again, to my parents and to my siblings, thank you for reminding me to be ready in season and out. Ready, always ready to correct, to rebuke. Pastor, you can finish the rest, right? Thank you for that. Thank y'all for those prayers. But most importantly, like the boss said, it still gets back to home plate. Jamel, Layla, thank you for saying yes. Cougar, thank you for saying yes. That's all I can say this time. So this is a token of our appreciation. But the best guess I know I can give, and for the rest of y'all, right, I can hand off command. It's been a pleasure. Terminate, terminate. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are, please stand for the change of command.
Publish the order.
Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force, Special Order Number Golf-21-20, dated 4 June 2021, under the provision of the Air Force Instruction 51-604, and effective 11 June 2021. Lt Col Marcus Wilson relinquishes command of the 505th Training Squadron, Hurlburt Field, Florida, and Lt Col Kari Mott assumes command of the 505th Training Squadron. Signed, Colonel Francisco Galli, Commander, 505th Test and Training Group. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander, 505th Training Squadron, Lt Col Kari Mott.
Thank you so much, Sergeant Felinas. Thank you, Major Chaplain Ivy and Leisha and Vaughn. Thank you so much for singing the national anthem. So, can't say what an honor it is to be standing here today in the very same auditorium where I first learned what AOC actually does and where my respect for operational command and control began. So thank you, Colonel Dickens and Colonel Galli, for placing your trust in me. I will lead the squadron to the best of my abilities, and I understand that good followership is also required of me. Colonel Galli, I remember the first guidance you gave me after you hired me to be the DO of the 705th. You said, "Don't embarrass me." I think he said some other stuff too, but that's the part that I remember. I hope that I've not done so as DO, and I will take that to heart as Commander. I've learned so much from you over the last 2 years, especially about the history of operational command and control, and from your leadership, and I thank you. Spike. So we actually met here for the first time 4 years ago when we were initial class students on our way to the 607th AOC in Korea. Since that time, a lot's happened. I want to thank you for your authentic leadership of this squadron for the past 2 years, and for the pep talks reminding me that in order to be the best leader that I can be, I must also be authentically me. Why me? The last 2 years working for you have been by far the best of my Air Force career, and that's due to the environment you created and the leadership you provided, so thank you for that. I know the experiences that we shared have prepared me for command, so thank you. To my family, my parents and my in-laws who've traveled here from Alabama and Pennsylvania and have always supported Nate and me in all of our Air Force endeavors, most notably watching our children for 6 months when we both got deployed at the same time. We wouldn't be here without you, so thank you. To my daughter, Courtney, and my son-in-law, Nathan, thank you for making the drive here from North Carolina. I'm proud of you guys and for what you do. To my twins, Michael and Charlotte, I know sometimes it's not easy having two parents in the military, but you always handle it perfectly. To my husband, Nate, who doesn't need to be told how awesome he is. He's a pilot, and he thinks he is. But I would like to say thank you publicly for the sacrifices you made in your own career for me to be here today. So thank you. And to the men and women of the 505th Training Squadron, America's AOC Formal Training Unit, the gateway to operational command and control. The things you do increase the combatant commander's lethality by producing joint and combined war fighters in joint all-domain command and control at the operational level. That's a big job, and that's an important job. And I'm extremely proud and humbled to be your commander, and I will give you my best. And then thank you to everybody who's had a hand in putting this together, Master Sergeant Boyer and the team. I know it takes a lot of behind-the-scenes effort and coordination to put a change of command together, so thank you for that. And then thanks to everybody who's taken the time to be here today. I really appreciate it, and God bless you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Mott. The United States Air Force and the 505th Training Squadron are proud to have had Lieutenant Colonel Wilson as one of their finest leaders and are proud to have served with him, and we wish him success in his future endeavors.